Hello again and welcome back. In this lecture, I'm going to show you some different tools you can use to manage the symbology of your data in ArcGIS. I'll show you how to import symbology, save out your symbology so you could reuse it, and then how to copy it between layers. As an example, I would like these layers down here to mimic the colors and styling in the layers on this map here. They're the same geographic layers, but maybe I've added the data to a new map document. I lost the original symbology from a map document, and I want to bring it in from an external source that I have. So I'll show you how to do that. And then I can also copy the symbology from these layers to the layers that are up here. On a practical note, I've provided in the map package not just the map document and the layers, but the map package will extract the layer files I'm going to use. That'll make sense in a moment, but it's going to extract the files I'm going to use to a location in your user folder. So in my case, that's c:\users/ this name here. In your case, oftentimes Windows puts your user folder in quick access. It'll be your name or something like that. And ArcGIS stores files in your documents folder, and then in ArcGIS, and then it extracts the map packages to the packages folder. So you can go there and see all the map packages you've used. And then in the folder for this one, which is NAD 1021 L 9.5 copying and saving symbology, you can open that up, and under common data, under user data, buried all the way in here, are all the layer files we're going to use. So when you're working with it on your own machine, that's where the data you can use to replicate what I'm doing on the screen is. Okay, let's bring this back up full screen here. And to start with, I'm going to load in the symbology that I want to use for this layer. I can set it the way we always have using the symbology pane, but I can also go to properties, and under symbology, I can go to import up here instead of setting it directly. And I can leave it as import symbology definition from another layer in the map or from a layer file. And I can go to browse, and I'm going to paste in that path, but navigate to the folder that has all that symbology in it, or all those layer files I just showed you. So in your documents ArcGIS packages folder. So I'm going to hit enter, and in this case this is extant. So I saved out a main range maps extant layer file, and it's not a layer package, it's a layer file, and layer files really just have the symbology definition. So if I click add here, and then the layer is likely present, I click OK, it sets the symbol to this orange. I can click apply, click OK, and there's not a whole lot of it down there, but let's zoom in. And it looks like it's getting covered up, maybe. So if I turn that off, yep, it's covering it up. So let's import that one next. So go to Properties, Import. I'll go back to the Browse here, and I'm in that folder still. So I'll go to Historical, which is the one I want for this one, just so I don't do this quickly. Historical, and I'll click Add, and then OK, and then OK. And now I get that cross-hatching that was in the map. And then I'm going to do the same for the rest of these two. So I won't narrate as much, but the observed layer, import, and observed, sets those polygons to kind of a reddish orange now. And then I have these two translocated layers here. So I'll go to properties, import, and this one is translocated observed. So I'll choose that one, click OK again. It's a lot of handwork, but it's much faster than trying to replicate this style directly from something else. I don't have to worry about getting the colors exactly right by going through the color palette or something like that. And so then this last one is the translocated expert. So I'll click add, and then OK, and then OK. And now I have something close to that map, or rather that that particular map that I exported. I have similar symbology to that one right here in this map now. Okay, well, what if I want to copy that symbology over to these other layers, and maybe I had them in the same map document, but I didn't actually have a layer file anymore? Well, I can do the same thing within one map document. So if I go to Properties, instead of going all the way out to the layer file, I can go to Import, and just from this layer dropdown, I can select the layer I want to import from. So I want to import from the historical expert layer here to this other historical expert layer I'm looking at. I'll click OK, and that changes the symbology of one of the layers. Here, let's expand this out so you can see. So we can import symbology from layer files, and then we can import it from other layers in the map document as well. So I'll do that again, import from the other layer in the map document. I want to import from the observed thing here, so I'm importing observed. Click apply and OK, and then I'll do it one more time for the extent here. Okay, so I just copied the symbology from one set of layers to another without going out to the layer files. Well, the last thing I can do is I can go modify one of these layers styles. I can modify the symbology, and then I'll save out a new layer file so I can reuse it in another map document. So I'm going to go to Edit Symbol. Maybe I want to change the separation between these lines. And we've mostly just dealt with outlines and fills, but there is a whole huge symbol property editor in ArcGIS. I can add another layer here. Maybe I could change the separation between these crosshatched lines, or maybe I'll change the angle on them to 35 degrees, and I'll change it to 9 degrees or 9 points of separation. And then we can also add another one at, let's do negative 35 degrees, and I'll leave it as not super thick lines and 5 separation. I'll click OK, and we get a different sort of cross hatching on that. And it's a little hard to see, so maybe we'll go clean it up a little more and change the separation on these to something much larger. Let's try that. It's a little better. It's still difficult, but we could say it's good enough for the demo. And what I'll do at that point is I'll save as layer file. So there's create layer package and save as layer file. And I'll save it out as a layer file to that same folder that we were in before. And I modified the historical one, just for my own record keeping. I don't have to name it anything in particular, but I'll call it crosshatched. So it's a crosshatched modification of the original historical lines here. And that way I can save it out, and I have a version for myself that I can then go import into another map document if I want. And if I take a look in this folder that has the layer files, they're much smaller than I'd expect from a layer package. So that's one other differentiator, is I wouldn't expect that I can get all this geographic data into 10 kilobytes. Instead, it's really just a bunch of ArcGIS symbology information. And if I really was going to have the data, it'd probably be a couple megabytes because it has all that feature information, all the vertices, all the edges, all the attributes. So that's one reminder to you that layer files are not layer packages. They're very different beasts that perform different functions. The other thing to look at is that the one we just exported is significantly larger than the others, and I'd imagine that's due to the complexity of the symbology we just did. It's not just here's a color and then here's an outline with an outline width and an outline color. It's line spacing, it's angling, it's colors, it's all of those things that make up a complex crosshatched symbol like this. Just like I can share layer packages, I can share layer files with people too. So I can send off layer files and people can use them as their symbology. It doesn't have to be applied to this particular data. I can create a new feature class, a new polygon layer, and import this symbology directly onto that too. The only limitation is that it needs to be the same data type. So if I export a point symbology as layer file, I can import it to points. If I export line symbology to a layer file, I can import it to any other line feature class. And the same thing with polygon layer file. If I export polygon symbology, I can import it to any other polygon layer too. One thing to note is that if I was symbolizing on an attribute here, so if I go to properties, maybe let's change our symbology to something like quantities here, and I'll symbolize by size here. And I'll use that default that we've been using for the income ladder, so to speak, that we've been using for these others as the attribute to symbolize on. Well, if I want to copy it over to another feature class here, if I go to import and then I import it from the historical expert one that I just modified, this one here, it's going to prompt me for which one's the same value field. Even if it has the same name, it's going to confirm with me that the field I want to use is the same name. Or if it has a different name, it's going to ask me to choose which field in the feature class has the values that the symbols are based on in the feature class we're importing from. So I'll select acres and click OK and click apply, and that one updates too. If I turn this off, I can see. Okay, that's it for this lecture. In this lecture, I showed you how we can manage our symbology data by exporting our symbology to layer files, importing from layer files, copying it between layers in the same map document, and choosing the attribute that we're symbolizing on when we're importing from another layer or layer file. This also wraps up our segment on symbology. We could do so much more in cartography and symbology, and deciding what to show you was pretty difficult here. We originally wanted to do a full class on this, and maybe we will someday in the future, but for now, this is about it as far as map styling that we're going to show you. I encourage you to dig around and find more. There's all sorts of stuff you can do here, especially if you take a look in that symbol editor I was showing you. If we go to the features and click here and go to edit symbol, there's a whole lot you can do if you select different symbol types and start adding layers and more. The most advanced cartographers are very good at using that symbol palette. Okay, see you next time.